However, Vice President Kamala Harris just caused Democrats to suffer a major loss. The Teamsters labor union and its 1.3 million members are not endorsing her. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. That labor organization announced it will not endorse a candidate, period, this time around. Here is what makes this particularly damaging for Democrats. It marks the first time since 1996, nearly 30 years, that group, that important union with all of its members, has not backed a Democrat White House nominee. So Kamala Harris has helped them gain that checkmark in history. Teamsters President Sean O'Brien spoke about the decision.
We interviewed both candidates, and we were seeking commitments from both candidates, and we couldn't get solid commitments on our core issues. No endorsement, I think, sends a message to both parties that if they truly want to support working people, they have to reevaluate it and understand that nothing is given, it is earned.
The non-endorsement could hurt Kamala Harris's push to position herself as the working class candidate. Former President Donald Trump spoke to Fox about it.
The Teamsters, for many, many decades, always automatically support the Democrats.
Right.
This year, they refused to do it. They're not going to support the Democrats this year. They're going to, I guess, remain neutral. But that was sort of a big event. Nobody's ever expected a thing like that to happen. It's been many, many years since they supported a Republican or did this.
Internal polling of Teamsters rank-and-file members shows they back Trump nearly 2-to-1 over Kamala Harris. I mean, look at this. 59.6% say they are backing Trump instead of Kamala Harris. But that's their internal polling. A massive surge for Donald Trump since July, when Biden was up by 9 points. What did she do to drag that down? We'll get into it. A new column headlined, "Why Teamsters members think Trump, not Harris, is the real friend of the working man." It argues if this huge tidal wave of Teamsters votes to Trump is reflected in other unions across the country, the electoral implications could be profound. They may think he's imperfect. They may think he's rough around the edges, but increasingly they also see he is the one as the race's only friend of the working man. Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy. Peter.
And Harris, for the last couple of weeks, Teamsters rank-and-file members have been sending their preferences back to headquarters here in Washington, D.C. with a QR code they were scanning to pick either Harris or Trump. And these rank-and-file members were breaking for Trump 60% to 34% that Harris had. That's according to their internal numbers that they released. The Teamsters still said, despite that 60%, there was no clear consensus among their membership about a candidate. And that is still very annoying to progressives.
I'm very disappointed in Sean O'Brien's leadership. I have found it increasingly alarming all year. When the Teamsters are in trouble, who do they call? When we need to make sure that Teamsters pensions are bailed out, when we need to make sure that they have a fair shake at the negotiating table with rail, it was Sean O'Brien calling Democrats for help.
Some local Teamsters union groups last night splintered off and are going to endorse Harris. That is what the Harris campaign wants people's eyes on today. Smaller scale endorsements in battlegrounds like Nevada, Wisconsin, and Western Pennsylvania. But the White House doesn't have much to say about being shunned by a huge union, despite claiming the mantle of most pro-union administration for years.
And so can't speak to any sort of endorsements. That's for the campaign to speak to directly. But this is a president who has really has put, when it comes to union and bringing jobs back to America.
The Harris campaign is hoping to move on. We don't think this Teamsters non-endorsement is going to come up in the vice president's live stream tonight with Oprah. Harris.
All right, Peter, thank you very much. And as Peter just mentioned, the Teamsters did not endorse Trump despite overwhelmingly supporting him. One report with this. People are asking, quote, the union suggested that Harris only needed to have majority support. Well, Trump got that to receive their endorsement. But Trump would have needed universal support to receive the endorsement. What does that even mean? Is that 100%? Steve Forbes, Forbes media chairman and editor-in-chief, always great to have you in focus.
Good to be here.
So for Kamala Harris, she needed a lower bar to get the endorsement. It was majority. So I would imagine that's 50 plus 1, so 51%. But for Trump, he would have needed universal support in order to get to the endorsement. What's the difference?
The difference is for them to endorse a Republican, even though the rank and file want Trump, would have put them in the crosshairs of Democrats in Congress now and in the future. So they're covering themselves. Since they're not going to endorse Harris, they know that the rank and file want Trump. So if Trump had gotten 89%, maybe they could have had cover. 59, normally a landslide, but in that world, not good enough for a Republican.
Yeah, so why do they need cover? I mean, if your rank and file want one thing, isn't it the union's job to represent the people in the union?
Too often these leaders represent, we see it especially with the teachers' unions, they represent themselves, not the people they're supposed to serve, not the rank and file. And so, but I think the president spoke at the Republican convention, gave a very democratic speech, but was received politely. So I think that was the signal, but that he got the word from the rank and file.
Interesting. You're talking about Sean O'Brien when he spoke at the RNC. Yeah, I was there for that speech. And it did sound very dim side, very left, so on and so forth. Maybe they did give him the message that you're not representing us.
He still wants to be able to knock on the Democrats' doors after the elections. And so that's why they're going through their version of a word salad.
Wow. The Federal Reserve has cut its benchmark interest rate by more than expected, 50 basis points. And that's the first rate cut in more than 4 years and comes after months of hikes to trying to tame the raging inflation. Some are saying they see this as a huge sign that the economy is a lot worse off than we think.
It shows the economy is very bad to cut it by that much, assuming they're not just playing politics.
I think the move today represents the fact that the Harris-Biden administration has so damaged this economy that they had to take extraordinary action only seen in states of real emergency in order to try to get it fixed.
The Wall Street Journal editorial board says we should read between the lines. Quote, Chairman Powell in his press conference said all is well in the economy, but such aggressive monetary easing suggests he's more worried than he sounds, end quote. And the Fed Chair Powell specifically addressed the issue of unemployment yesterday. And the way he did it is something that Trump has been saying for so long, and people accuse him of all sorts of things, but Trump was right. Watch this.
If you're having millions of people come into the labor force then, and you're creating 100,000 jobs, you're going to see unemployment go up. So it really depends on what's the trend underlying the volatility of people coming into the country. We understand there's been quite an influx across the borders, and that has actually been one of the things that's allowed the unemployment rate to rise.
All right, it's no longer the quiet part. The Fed chair did in part what he did because of the immigration issues that we have going on at the border. Someone call the Vice President Kamala Harris and tell her to fix it right now.
They've been trying, but it's not going to get through because
no one's answering.
She doesn't want to have to defend her non-job. She drew a salary as vice president, but clearly she wasn't showing up to work to do the border part. And the fact that Powell's, in effect, speaking out of both sides of the mouth, which the Fed often does, the economy's great, but we're still worried, I think shows that they see some real headwinds out there. And you see it in the revisions each month in the jobs report. They have a big, nice headline number, but they're always revising downward the jobs report of the 2 previous months. And we just saw they just obliterated 800,000 jobs they thought they had.
Yeah. Thought they had or hadn't told us that they didn't have. Whatever the case was, the original number was really off by almost 1 million, as you point out. Real quickly, Trump has been saying this for a pretty long time, well into the presidency and the vice presidency of Biden-Harris. What did he see that maybe we're not being told?
He saw the world as it is. It's the arithmetic. I love how Powell says some people have been crossing the border. Well, that's 10 million, and that's going to have, in the real world, an impact. He hires people. He knows what the impact is.
Okay. The 10 million that we know about, remember the gotaways, at least 2 million of those.
And there may be another 5 million out there, and that's the shock. We don't know.
because they're flying them in under those so-called
That's so
legal,
crazy. And they
legal
focus
programs.
on Springfield, Ohio, and they say, well, they don't eat cats and dogs. But you take a town of 60,000, you pour in 20,000 people, just dump them in, you're going to have problems. And they get away with this. This is what's so outrageous.
Steve Forbes, running a huge empire, stopped by to say hello to the Faulkner Focus. We appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank
Good to
you.
see you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.